Hello, I'm Elisa Zhang, and I am a physician as well as a life and money coach. I am not a certified financial planner, so take that in mind with today's episode, especially. When we look at our employer sponsored retirement accounts, like our 401ks and 403bs, it can be a little daunting depending on what the selections are on how to invest our retirement funds. So it's easy with your Roth IRA or any account that you're opening that you can go ahead and choose your brokerage account, whether it be Vanguard, Fidelity, Schwab, whatever is the best place that you like. And then you can also kind of invest in anything you want. So I typically will just choose index funds with low expense ratios. And that becomes really easy when you have all the choices in the world, right? I can go to Vanguard and just buy VTI or VTSAX or any other index funds, and that's my choice. But what if you have an employer-sponsored retirement account and it's not in one of those places? Well, some places give you a rather limited selection. So my husband has retirement accounts both at STRS, which is a state teachers retirement system in Ohio, as well as an account at TIAA-CREF from another time that he was working at a private school. And both of those accounts have pretty limited options. And so I just really look at how much do I want in large cap stocks, medium, small, bonds, and there aren't that many options. So I just put whatever percentage I want in each of those different asset categories. Not so hard. Sometimes having less choice is easier. But I recently had someone come to me and we were looking at her employer-sponsored retirement account, and she has over 80 choices of different mutual funds that she can invest in. So how to choose when you've got so many, that can really be overwhelming. So I really spent some time looking at her options. And this is kind of my thinking process. Now, again, I am not a certified financial planner. I may be totally wrong on how to do this, but I have been reading and learning about investing in personal finance for almost 2 decades now. So I like to think I know a little something about what to do. And so what I would recommend first is really scan all the different fund names and see if you can find any that say index in there. Because hopefully if it says index, it may be an actual index fund. So I'm going to bring up a sheet. Here is an example from Voya, and it is a Voya Index Plus Large Cap portfolio. And here's the investment objective strategy. So here it reads, investment seeks to outperform the total return performance of the S&P 500 index while maintaining market level of risk. So there it says outperform. We know that most mutual funds will not outperform an index. The best thing you can do is match the index. So we know that it's not truly a completely index fund here, even though it says index. And then it reads, under normal market conditions, the portfolio invests at least 80% of its net assets plus borrowing for investment purposes in securities of large capitalization companies included in the index. The index is a stock market index comprised of the common stocks of the 500 of the largest companies traded in the United States as selected by the S&P Global Rating. So basically what that's telling you is they are buying stocks in the S&P 500 or buying stocks of companies in the S&P 500, but they're not necessarily buying the entire, all 500 stocks of the S&P 500. And they give a little here, the risk is moderate. The category is maybe a little less risk than what they say that this investment is. We look at the portfolio analysis, it is 99.2% invested in US stocks, which makes sense because that's what they say they're investing in. And it does give the top 10 holdings Apple, Microsoft, Alphabet, Inc., which is actually Google, I believe, Amazon, and Tesla. If we look at the Morningstar box, it is a large blend, which is what we would expect for the top 500 companies. And then the other important thing to look at is expense ratios. So expense ratio here, there's a contractual expense ratio of 0.3%, but if you look at the operations, it's 58% of fund assets, which isn't too bad. Management fees, 0.45%. There's no 12B minus or -1 fee, which is good. And One thing, though, is a little concerning is the annual turnover rate is 60%, which really shows it's not an index fund, because if it was an index fund, that would be much lower. So then I looked again for any other things that said index, and I found that they had the Voya Russell large cap index portfolio. And so this investment seeks investment results before taxes, before fees and expenses that correspond to the total return, which includes capital appreciation and income of the Russell Top 200 index. So this is a different index that they're looking at. And it's saying corresponds, so that's a little better. So they're not trying to beat it. So theoretically, maybe it's more acting like an index fund. It's going to invest 80% of its net assets in equity securities of companies, which are at the time of purchase included in the index. And it's invested 99.4% in US stocks. Again, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Alphabet. So same companies as the last one. Here, the expense ratio contractual 0.08%, but if you look at operations, 0.44% for the gross expense ratio. Again, no 12B-1 fee. And here the annual turnover rate is 23%. So still a little high for a true index fund, but much better than the other fund. So I would probably put whatever portion I want towards large cap stocks into this index for this particular pick. And then how do you want to decide on how much to put in large versus medium versus small cap versus bonds? I mean, again, that's a little bit of a personal choice, but one thing you can do is kind of just try to match a total stock market distribution. So this is the market capitalization weighting of the Vanguard Total Market Index funds, and the top 70% are the mega companies, the large companies being the top 85%, mids the 70 to 85%, and small the 85 to 98%, and micro 2%. So theoretically, you would have 70% in large cap, 15% in mid cap, and another 15% in small cap if you kind of want to follow this market capitalization weighting, if you're going to do 100% stocks. Now, if you're going to do like 20% bonds and 80% stocks, then you would do 70% of that 80% in the large cap stocks. So hopefully that makes sense, and hopefully that helps you kind of go about choosing which mutual funds to use in your employer sponsored retirement account. Again, I do want to stress I'm not a certified financial planner, but I just wanted to go to the thought process of how I would go about choosing this, because I don't think that's something that's really that well discussed out in the financial world. So if you could use some help with your finances, with questions that you have, with the thought process of choosing investments, if you just feel overwhelmed when it comes to managing your money, I'm happy to help you, happy to talk to you. You can set up a consultation with me at my website, growyourwealthymindset.com. We can meet over Zoom. We can go over anything you want. You can even open your accounts and share if you're comfortable doing that. I'm here really to be of service to you. So hope that was helpful. Thanks for watching.